Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to this week's ASX Weekly Review for the 28th of September. The following recording is general advice only, and not all investments commented on are appropriate for every individual. If you'd like to know more about the Investor Signal service, please contact me using the O2 number on screen or leon@investorsignals.com. This is a midweek strategy piece, so it's not designed as a full analysis of the market. If you'd like to review our full commentary, visit the website investorsignals.com. Go to market updates and you'll see the strategy piece for the full month of September on the ASX Top 50. Today's recording is a midweek commentary to tie in some of the recent analysis posted on the blog, which is blog.investorsignals.com. And let's just move through this. So AGL we saw as getting oversold down here, looking for a reversion to the mean, a bounce back to around $18.50, puts the stock back on about a 4% dividend yield. I think it's full value. It runs into resistance, but we've certainly been correct there with the comments on the blog. If you want to view those, go across to the blog, look for AGL, click on the code, and you can read up about our analysis there. So an example being just there, clicking on the code, loads the information on it, and we can see there the history of the comments there where we're flagging a pullback on AGL. On to the next code that I want to comment on, Amcor. I actually think this is a buy on the dip right here at the moment. So again, you could go back, reference sort of what we've said on the blog here over at Amcor. And you'll kind of be highlighted to the fact there that we still see this as a buy on the dip. So I just remind you today that I think that's sort of getting into a buy range. AMP, we like this, not seeing a lot in the way of earnings growth, but it's on our radar. Not a lot of commentary on the blog on that one. Some of these I'll skip through because they're covered in the full strategy piece. I think it's interesting that ASX is back here. We'll start to look at this on the blog. Could find support. I had commented in the monthly strategy piece there that my only concern is we're starting to see trading volumes actually a little bit weak during July and August, which may mean that the ASX struggle to hit their earnings target. Horizon, we've been on the short side of this. This is starting to bounce. If it gets up to around this 480 level, we revisit that on the short side, and I'll post that on the blog. BHP, we're looking for that to trade up to 22.50 as commented on the blog. Brambles, so this is one of those stocks on the blog that we've had as a buying opportunity. We're effectively got an average entry cost here at around 11.75. If we come across to the blog and just revisit this particular code, where are we? BXB. We have a look here, so I've highlighted that should be added to the watch list. We've got a buy signal here. The strategy on Brambles was to pick up some around 12. If it pulls back to around 11.50, which it did, add to that position. We were looking for an average entry cost of 11.75. We've got that. I think the stock now rallies back to around 12.50. At that point, it's time to take profit. Computershare, I think this is worth keeping an eye out on the short side. I think any sort of push on a bullish move in the market, up to sort of this $11 level, I think it'd be worth sort of having another look at that on the short side. We had made money last time as it pushed down. CSL was one that I posted on the blog. So if we go through here, come across to the blog, CSL, if you can't find it there, use the search function on the blog, CSL. And there it is, what's come up there. So we had a buying rec here on CSL at around this $100 level. I think 96 to 102 was the price target. We're starting to see it rally back to around 110. Maybe it fills the gap up to 114, but that gives you an idea there. But certainly the general theme that we had being healthcare stocks. So again, if you come across here, maybe rather than look at it at individual code, click on the month of September, read what we've posted during the month of September. There was an article, if we go back a little bit, posted about healthcare stocks. Just skim through and see if we can quickly locate this. You got the toggle buttons there to move back through the post a little bit further if you're looking for information. So here was the commentary on the property names that we thought they were getting oversold and ready for a bounce. I'll comment on those shortly. here we go, healthcare stocks. Let's look at the three that we mentioned. ResMed hasn't done much yet. Sonic Healthcare bounced from $20. I'll look at that one in a minute. It's trading $22. CSL, there was the level there between 96 and 102 as a buy range. And just to jump back to the chart here, on CSL, look, it's now trading back up at 108, heading higher. I think it fills the gap, as I mentioned, maybe trades 111. Time to take profit at that level. Okay, Caltex, we like that on the long side. It's commented on the blog. So here's a first example of GPT. I commented that we'd looked at these property trust names. Here they are here. So if we go back to what the comments were on GPT, we're effectively in the buy range anywhere, sort of say from 480 through to 450. The stock pulled down to a low there of around 472, now trading $5. That puts the stock back on a dividend yield of around 4.8%. So I think it's even got a little bit more, could trade up to 5, sort of between 5 and 5.25. I'm not looking for these property trusts to take out these highs anytime soon. I think it's more of a reversion to the mean, which in my mind, sort of, you're starting to see the price pull back into the averages. I think somewhere around these levels they consolidate. IAG not doing there at the moment. IPL, I'll skip through some of these. As I said, it's not designed as a full strategy session. James Hardie's one that I've commented on the blog. I think this buy on the dip is an opportunity again at the moment, so keep that on your watch list, and we'll comment on that on the blog over the coming days. Medibank Private, I think this is getting a little bit oversold. I think that's worth keeping on your watch list, and again, I'll comment on that on the blog. Orica on the short side, still keeping sort of, I think there's a good chance that kind of rolls over and creates a lower high, I should say. So we'll revisit that one in the coming weeks. I think Oil Search probably out of all the energy names has been a bit overdone, and we could see a bounce there higher in Oil Search. Qantas, we've closed out the short trade there in Qantas. Again, if we come back to the list here, if you want to sort of research what we've said on Qantas. So looking through for the code, lock in profit there. So we shorted the stock, saw it finding support at around this 317 level or 312 on that particular day. I think it's starting to recover, and that's really a function of oil prices actually coming off at the moment. But I think on a bounce back up to 340, you probably want to look at Qantas on the short side again. Generally, our comment on the resources had been that they were bullish, and BHP and Rio heading higher. So here's a good example of another one of those stocks within the property trust sector. I said here at around sort of 440, 450 center groups a buy. I think it can trade back up to maybe not much more than $5, but I think, again, similar pattern with reversion to the mean, where we're seeing these property names come back to sort of halfway between this prior rally. I think they consolidate at those levels. Seek I like as a general comment, and that's been posted on the forum, that it's a buy on the dip stock. Sonic Healthcare, so this is one of those healthcare names. We commented on ResMed, Sonic Healthcare, and also on CSL. CSL I've covered. Sonic Healthcare was a buy down here at around $20, now trading $22. I think at around 23 it runs into resistance, but that's been a good sort of short-term quick move for us within the market. Sydney Airports and Transurban. So there was a posting on the blog in general. Again, if we come back to September, click on that, scroll back through. There was a general comment that I'd made early in the month, I think on the 2nd of September, which just drew everyone's attention to these. So that was the property trust names. I thought there was another one. Yeah, let's go back a little bit further. The healthcare ones, which I've spoken about. GPT we've discussed. AGL Here we go. We're sort of getting into these yield names. Transurban, I thought maybe down at around $10.70 would be a buying opportunity. Boral at around $6.50. Amcor, which we've discussed. This is the post I was looking for here on the 2nd of September, where we've highlighted some names to add to your watch list. So Sydney Airports, Transurban were some of these yield names that I thought were going to bounce, along with sort of another group down here, which you could revisit those. But Sydney Airports, I think, a little bit overdone on all these yield names. Sydney Airports now creeps up to about a 4.8% dividend yield. I think it consolidates around $7. Transurban pulled right into our buy range there at $10.70. You can see there that I think it trades back to $11.50 but runs into resistance. Telstra, I think, is actually heading higher at the moment. Transurban, as you'll read on the blog, we continue to like that name. Australian Bank starting at the margin, a little bit of buying support. Wesfarmers, I think the turnaround here is the market's getting a little more bullish on the contribution of the resource division of Wesfarmers, and we're starting to see minor upgrades there, but with the stock on a 5% forward yield, I think it's now up at the top end of its range. Westfield, again, one of those property stocks that we're looking for. I think it'll probably push above $10. I think the target actually for Westfield, we can lift that up a little bit higher. I think we probably see it trade up to around this sort of 10.25 level before it ultimately runs into resistance. It is on a much lower yield. Westfield running on a yield of about 3.5%, so keep that in mind. Woolworths, I think this is interesting. We've got the first time of a higher low structure here. It appears that the courts have said to Woolworths and Lowe's that they're looking for the matter to be resolved via arbitrage rather than it being dragged out through a public court proceedings, which I think is helping to sort of push Woolworths a little bit higher today, but maybe there's some momentum there. Oil stocks under pressure again, preference being Oil Search, and there we are back to the index. Now, if we go back to what I think is a fairly important post that's been made this month, which was my reference just to what's happening in the indexes. And I'll see if we can find this one here. So XJO index key levels you should be tracking. Have a read of this article, and in particular take note of the levels that I've highlighted in the graph. And the message is pretty simple. Whilst we're bullish equities, we're always cautious about how strong the global recovery actually is versus equities being driven by low bond yields. And for that reason, I think what we do here is say, look, there's support for the market off this most recent higher low here at around 5,000 points. There's further support just below at 4,980, and then further support back here at around 4,700. Anytime that we start to see the indexes actually reverse back down and take out any of these lows, I think as a portfolio allocation, it's important to start to look at the short side of the market. If you haven't watched our full monthly strategy recording, please do so. It's available at investorsignals.com. Look forward to speaking again next week. And any questions that you have, or if you'd like to discuss the Investor Signals service and how we can work in partnership with help managing your portfolio, don't hesitate to give me a call or drop me an email. Thank you.